UFP, the United Federation of Podcasts.
Engage.
78 years have passed since the days of the original USS Enterprise. Now a new Galaxy Star ship has been designed.
Transporter Chief, beam our listeners aboard. Welcome to Galaxy Class, a Star Trek The Next Generation podcast on the United Federation of Podcast Network. I am your diplomatic standard bearer, Kevin Scharf. With me this week are Chief of Logistics and Planning, Joe Keegan, and Counselor Amy Nelson. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Kevin. Did I give myself that name last week, or did...
No, we gave you that name because
yes,
of all of the
absolutely.
Logistics and planning you've done for us.
Well-deserved name.
Thank you very much. Logistics.
Listeners, our amazing logistics and planning coordinator, Joe Keegan, got our topics ready. We are so excited. We're going to be talking some amazing ideas and thoughts that are going to be coming to your ear holes for the very long future. But we're planned, guys. We're planned.
It's like we know what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
It's all thanks to Joe.
Thank you.
It's a good thing Rhea's not here, or she'd be cutting him down.
Yeah.
But this is the All About Joe celebration episode.
Yes, it
Thank
is.
you. You're making me feel a lot better, so that's good.
That's good.
How are you guys?
Good. I have exciting news, guys. My vaccine shot number 2 is now done. I'm fully vaccinated.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes.
Which vaccine did you get?
Pfizer.
Is that the one that allows you to talk to bats, or the one that lets you pick up 5G signals, or the one that lets Bill Gates track your every movement?
Yeah, it's the Bill Gates one.
Oh, cool.
You know.
Nice.
He's invested in education, so all teachers have to be tracked now by Bill Gates.
Mm-hmm. That makes total sense.
Yeah. You know, Bill Gates was the driving force between for Common Core curriculum in the United States. So,
And he single-handedly...
Interesting you say that.
I think he single-handedly created the COVID-19.
Could be.
Like in the deep, dark pits of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, deep within the earth, in his secret evil guy lair.
Yes, his mustache twirling, everything, yeah.
When he says, fly my pretties fly, it's actually COVID bats that come out.
Yes. Fly, my pretties. Fly. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Well, I don't think I'm getting vaccinated until at least the summer, so... They started rolling it out. You can sign up for vaccinations now, but right now it's only limited to people over the age of 85.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
85.
85.
Wow. No, they're doing it like they're working down by age group. So they've done all the really super old people, and now the next age group is 40 to 49. They're doing, so I will be in the next age group because they're not prioritizing any occupation like teachers. They're prioritizing frontline healthcare staff, but nobody else.
Yep.
So
I look forward to the day when we don't have to talk about vaccinations and diseases.
Yeah.
Talking about vaccinations and diseases, I watched The Hot Zone. Is it The Hot Zone? I think it's The Hot Zone. It's new TV.
Sure.
Is that a new TV show? No, 2019 I think it was made, starring Juliana Margulies. And it's on, I say it's on Disney or Netflix or Amazon Prime or Apple TV Plus. So on one of these streaming TV services. But basically, she plays somebody called Jax, her and her husband, Jax, JAAX, and they serve with the US AMRID. It's the United States Army Medical Research something. and it's partially based on a true story about a potential Ebola outbreak in Virginia, where they were shipping research monkeys in from Africa, and some of the monkeys had Ebola. Now, like hemorrhagic fever, the things that basically breaks down all your organs and makes you bleed from every orifice. And it potentially happened. It could have wiped out 90% of the US population back in the late 80s. So I was watching that.
So that was Bill Gates' first attempt. Fly, my pretties.
That was Bill Gates' first attempt. So watching these kind of things like Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman.
I remember that movie.
The brilliant movie. This is kind of like a more modern version of it, but based on a true story. And also like Contagion. Have you seen Contagion? With Kate Winslet?
I believe so.
The Star Trek episode?
No, the one about a pandemic virus that's going around, but it's eerily similar to COVID. Was it out in 2000?
They all are eerily similar. It's so weird watching old shows that are talking about this virus and spreading and now. And it's like, that was made, 10, 20 years ago. It's very weird. Surreal, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I told you that story.
Well, I'm avoiding media with plagues in it. It just isn't what I want to watch right now.
I get it.
Oh, so
there's 5 seasons of The Muppet Show on Disney Plus now. That's much more fun.
Oh my gosh, yes, I'm in season 1 about halfway through, and just the chef and the 2 old guys in the balcony. Oh, I just love it all. So much fun.
Can I tell you about the revelation had about Big Bird in Sesame Street? Now, the American Big Bird is yellow. Apparently, Big Bird, Sesame Street is produced for a lot of different countries around the world. And there's a version of Big Bird in each of them, but they're all different colours.
I did not know
So there's like I think the Mexican Big Bird is green. And there's like an Argentinian Big Bird and a German Big Bird and all sorts. But Big Bird has gone on his Twitter feed to say that they're all his cousins. You should Google it. Big Bird's cousins. And he's met up with them. It's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's say we get right into the meat of this episode and start with checking the communications array to see if we have any comments from our listeners.
Logs accessed.
We have Daniel Smithwick, who reached out to us on Twitter after our Beverly profile. Hey, I just went back and watched Remember Me during my morning workout because I was inspired by your recent podcast episode. First-time listener to Galaxy Class, long-time listener of Earl Grey. Keep up the good work. Huge fan of Dr. Crusher, The Traveler, and TNG. I thought your group did a wonderful job with a sort of character portrait of Beverly Crusher. That bit about Jack being a traveler, wow. I would love to see a similar episode about Q. Keith R.A. DeCandido wrote a novel a while back called Q&A, where he synthesized all the episodes with Q to try and explain this alien's intentions. Without saying you should go read that novel, which is a wonderful novel, I'll bet your group would have a lot of interesting things to say regarding Q's intentions. What was he trying to accomplish during the whole 7 seasons of TNG's run? Why Picard? ? Well, Daniel, thank you so much for reaching out to us, and glad that you found us over here on Galaxy Class.
And apologies to Daniel and Keith if Amy mashed up your surnames in any way.
Smithwick?
Is it Smithwick or is it Smithick? The American, this American way, it depends where this guy's from. The American way would be Smithwick. The British way would be Smithick, possibly with a silent W. And DeCandido, who knows?
It's DeCandido. I've met Keith R.A. DeCandido.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah, well, why didn't you tell me? I stopped.
No, you got it right. I thought you got it right, so that's why I didn't say anything.
Joe,
okay,
delete this whole thing out.
It's like that time where I was saying Pierre LaRocco, and you were like, no, it's LaRocco, and I'm like, I'm saying LaRocco, and that's LaRocco. Yeah, LaRocco.
Well, would you like to comment on what Daniel said instead of the way I said it?
Yeah, I think we are coming to the end of our series talking about each of the main characters of Next Gen. So we had talked about what other characters we could do for that series, and Q was right at the top of the list. So don't be surprised to hear a character feature on Q sometime in the near future.
Yes.
Or the long future. It's coming, though.
Yeah.
I'm sure I definitely put that in.
I did read Q&A and did a podcast about it on Literary Treks with Bruce and Dan. So it is an excellent book. I would highly recommend it. And yeah, it smashes all the Q things and is a really nice book. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. I'm always worried about Earl Grey fans that don't find us because we ran away. It's difficult to tell them where we went. So I'm glad Daniel found us. Greg Molumby sent us a message via Facebook Messenger. Listening to your What If episode, you're talking about Riker, and I was thinking about the episode Future Imperfect. If Riker had been a Q, would he have turned Bourash into a Q as well? Would Future Imperfect even happen with Riker Q? Who knows? Good questions. Amy, I think you replied to Greg, didn't you?
Yeah, I think we said on our discussion, or Kevin mentioned, like, if he had the Q power, none would happen. Yeah. None of the episodes would happen. He would solve all the problems. So I think we are throwing that out. And I love, Greg, the name Riker Q. I think that's a good naming strategy for those that have Q powers, like Amanda Q, Riker Q.
Well, I just think that like we said, everything would have changed if Riker had had Q powers. Would Riker have even still been there? Maybe it would have been Thomas Riker instead. There's many questions. So I think that I don't know that this episode would have happened in the way that it did. So
I wouldn't. That's true.
I love what ifs.
They're fun, aren't they?
Yep.
I was going for like, that way we mash up a name and it becomes a new funnier name, but it's not funnier. It's like Quaker.
Oh.
Quaker.
It's not funny.
Maybe it's just Riker with a Q instead of a K.
Oh. Yeah.
Riker.
Yeah, Riker.
Like a liqueur. It's a riker.
Sounds French-Canadian.
Well, why don't we move right along into our main topic, which is a Batleth battle.
This is the captain. Senior officers will report to my ready room immediately.
Now, we did something a little different with this one in that we put up a poll on the Federation Council chambers and asked our listeners to vote even before we had our discussion. I'm not going to reveal the results of that vote right now, but I do want to mention some of the comments that got left on this Batleth battle, which is The Lonely Among Us versus Measure of a Man. Let's just say that there is one very highly thought of episode in that pairing. So that's Measure of a Man Season 2, Episode 9, and Lonely Among Us Season 1, Episode 7. Justin Oser said, I'll be the contrarian and vote for Lonely Among Us. Alex Ortega said, this is not even a fair fight. The only thing Lonely Among Us has for it is that it was written by DC Fontana. But Michael Bentley said, it's going to be a tough one to call with a crying, laughing emoji. So why don't we get right into it? We're going to put these two episodes together. 2 will go in, 1 will come out. Why don't we start with Measure of a Man? Amy, do you want to...
Can I... Is Lonely Among Us not episode 6 of season 1?
I had it as episodes. I think it depends on whether you count Encounter at Farpoint as 1 episode or 2, and whichever streaming service I was using must have put Encounter at Farpoint as 2 episodes. So they said it was episode 7.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so that's there's always a little confusion there, but I think it doesn't really matter. We all know where it falls in the timeline.
Season 1.
Season 1.
Yeah,
so
Memory Alpha has it as 7.
Okay.
Oh,
Just
when I
that's-
pulled the IMDb ratings, I had it as 6 because it counted Encounter of Farpoint as one episode. Okie dokie.
So, would you like to summarize Measure of a Man, Amy?
Oh my gosh. Do I need to? Every TNG watcher knows this, The Measure of a Man. Excellent episode where Data is being charged to go to Daystrom Institute to be deconstructed so that, what's his name?
Bruce Maddox.
Bruce Maddox can discover and explore and try to recreate Data to have a Data on every single starship because he's so valuable. And we have the trial where Picard is defending and Riker is the prosecuting, and it's an amazing episode. We, in fact, remember Joe on Earl Grey was able to interview
Clyde Katsatsu.
Snodgrass. Melinda, we interviewed Melinda Snodgrass, who was the writer of this episode.
I wasn't there.
Oh, I'm
was
so sorry.
pre-Joe.
It was pre-Joe. Okay.
But we did interview
we did.
Clyde Katsatsu, who played Admiral Nakamura.
Yes, we did. Mm-hmm. So, great episode.
Mm-hmm. So when we break down these episodes, we break them down in a few categories, guest stars and importance to Star Trek canon. So let's talk about the guest stars on Measure of a Man. There's 3 major ones, right? Admiral Nakamura, Bruce Maddox, and JAG Captain Philippa Louvois, all of whom, well, I would say 2 out of 3 of whom are sort of loom large. Like they are very memorable characters. I would say the Admiral maybe isn't. He's just sort of an introductory character. But the other two are characters that loom large, maybe some more than others, but they're memorable, right?
Absolutely. I love the chemistry and this unknown relationship between Picard and Philippa Louvois. Like, I love that. And we need a short trek. We need something that explains their little back and forth between them. Like, where did that come from? I mean, obviously previously in Academy. Are they going?
No, she was the JAG officer who prosecuted him when he was court-martialed for losing the Stargate serum.
Right.
But there must have been something before that or after that. Because I think
because they seem to really know each other.
They're familiar.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. I think the court-martial maybe tarnished their relationship. Mm-hmm. So I think there was maybe something before the Stargazer incident. An affair?
Mm-hmm. I agree. But the chemistry on screen that they have together is brilliant, which makes the court scenes, and him talking to her and presenting evidence like even more dynamic.
She is very good. She, as a character, she stands up to Picard. Not as in stands up to him, as in like kind of she can match him. Just for
and I think you're right, because like when Picard enters any room, he owns the room. Like you know what I mean? He owns the room. Yeah. And Philippa is exactly the same way. She owns the room. Yeah.
Definitely.
Agreed. I would have loved to have seen more of Philippa. Wouldn't a cool Star Trek spin-off be like Star Trek JAG, where it's all legal arguments in the Star Trek universe?
Yes! Alex
Star
Kurtzman.
Trek Law and Order.
I know you listen to this podcast. That would be amazing.
It'd be a very different take on the show, wouldn't it?
Does Alex Kurtzman listen to this podcast?
Of course he does.
Yeah,
in my head canon.
Sure. As long as Christine Baranski's in it. But Christine Baranski's in it as a lawyer playing herself because she's still alive in the 24th century. I love Christine Baranski.
And Bruce Maddox, he's legendary now because of Picard, like that. And we see him mentioned again in Data's Day. So I think that, seeing Bruce Maddox being introduced and having him set up as the bad guy, but then sort of leveled off to be a creative mind that Data's working with, I think it's a very interesting twist and goes along with Gene Roddenberry's not wanting to have conflict between characters, right?
True.
He just comes off as so smarmy, doesn't he? That cocky grin on his face for the whole first half of the episode. The way he calls Data it instead of him, you just want to punch him. He's got a face that you'd love to punch.
I agree. Sorry. There's. Do you know what? I'm keep on coming back to the fact that he was in Picard, and it really annoys me that the Picard version of him looks completely and entirely different. There's no resemblance whatsoever, which kind of irritates me a little bit. They could have at least made his hair look similar. Because what is it?
Well, he's a lot older in Picard.
I know, but
no one has the same hairstyle for 50 years, Joe.
Yeah, you don't go from having like really poker straight black hair to having like a grey perm, unless he got his hair permed. Maybe it came back.
It could be the style of the year 2399.
Who knows? Maybe it's left over from the 2380s, and it was big in the 80s.
When they announced that Maddox was coming back, and there was the big convo on social media that let's get the original actor, and that never happened. And then there was speculation as to why it didn't happen. And we'll just say that it didn't happen. And you're right. It's a shame, and would have liked to have seen the original actor.
Yeah. True. Can we talk about Clyde Kusatsu? Because I really like Clyde Kusatsu. Because he's named after the river that flows through Glasgow, which is my hometown. It's not named after that.
Kusatsu? I didn't know the Kusatsu River flowed through Glasgow.
Yes. Yes. Glasgow, Japan. No, yeah. So the River Clyde is the big river that flows through Glasgow, and he's called Clyde. So I assume that he's named after my home river and not Bonnie and Clyde. I don't know. But he was such a nice guy to interview, and I really like the character.
Yes.
Even though he comes on to do something that we didn't like. So
right. Yeah, because he was enforcing it.
Mm-hmm. He was the Admiral at that point.
Yeah.
But it's difficult not to like him now that we've interviewed him.
Yeah.
You know? So.
He comes off as likable if, misinformed and badly. His reason for being there isn't good, but he seems like a very nice guy. Everybody seems to like Admiral Nakamura. Mm-hmm. But... yeah, he's just, I don't know, maybe Maddox had something on him, and so he was being blackmailed.
Something way more nefarious. Oh, love it.
I don't know. Because, here's the interesting thing. They said that, I'm going to switch to importance to Star Trek canon now. Okay. So let's talk about what's going on in this episode. At one point, they said that they had to have a hearing to see if Data even qualified to join Starfleet Academy. And whoever was on this board, they all voted yes, except Maddox. Like, that seems to be a precedent right there. And here we are, say, 15, 20 years later, and all of a sudden Maddox is back and saying, no, I was right all along. And all those other probably admirals and people who sit above in shadows taking care of the academy are wrong. And Data didn't, like all of a sudden Data doesn't qualify. I would think you would need to qualify as a sentient life form to join Starfleet Academy. Why wasn't this settled then? I just think that's one little quibble of this episode, which in other ways is just a fantastic morality play.
That's interesting, and I've never even considered that. Like, why was the issue of his sentience brought up sooner rather than later? I don't know. Yeah. Why would they allow him in?
There was a decision made years ago. It seems like Maddox was Maddox was working behind the scenes politically to try to change people's minds. Like it seems to me that this issue was settled, and Maddox got to enough of the right people to say we need to pull the switch on this. Don't you think?
Would it?
Well, if he voted no, that means that he's always thought that Data was never sentient.
Exactly.
So, yeah, maybe through those years he was working on people to try and change their minds. I see what you're saying.
Right, because people back then, like, he was outvoted at least 2-1, right? There had to have been at least 3 people. So it sounded like it was a tribunal, so I would have assumed more people had to vote on this. It would have seemed to me that the matter was settled. And for him to work to this point just seems wrong.
But that goes to your point of how self-centered and correct he thinks he always is, and smug.
Exactly.
And, even though he was shot down and Data got admitted into the academy, he's still going to be proving his point that I'm going to fix this and I'm going to take care of it. And he finally got the support he needed to even make the request. Yeah.
Maybe his sentience was never really in question. Maybe in the time, from the time he was picked up by the USS Tripoli to the time that he applied for the academy, he had proven himself up to the challenge of joining Starfleet. So maybe it was just it was an almost racist argument on behalf of Bruce Maddox because he wasn't a biological being that he shouldn't be allowed in.
But I mean, this whole debate is it one of the most important to Star Trek canon for next gen?
And beyond, I think.
I mean,
right?
This is monumental. This is deciding what is sentience. We are defining, like last week when we were doing our what ifs and we were talking about the Q powers and we're like, well, can the powers do this? Can the powers do that? We didn't know because it hasn't been defined. But now sentience is defined because of this episode, which translates to everything after. Like every series, they are going to hold to that standard because that's the definition that's been set.
But Ken, it doesn't. They don't.
That's huge.
They don't define it with a resolution. They come to an impasse, don't they? Because Lavoie says, "Does Data have a soul? I don't know. I don't know if I have a soul." So the point is that in order to be sentient, one of the things they say, you have to have a soul, but you can't prove if you have a soul or not. So it's an unwinnable argument. So by definition, he must be sentient because...
Yeah, but at least we have that vocabulary. I mean, they list the 3 things,
And is that a definitive? I know it's maybe a definitive for us as Star Trek fans, but is that a definitive list in real life? Is that how we would decide if something was sentient or not? I don't imagine so. It doesn't sound very scientific to say, in order to be sentient, you must have a soul. I mean, we could, because it's not a measurable quantity.
Right. I don't know. These are things for bigger minds than mine.
Yeah, but definitely maybe one of the most important episodes to canon that we have out of the
I agree.
generation. That and Best of Both Worlds. And the Inner Light, maybe. Best of Both Worlds, just because...
Inner Light isn't important to canon. It's a nice story.
It's a nice story, yeah, you're right. But Best of Both Worlds, definitely, because there's so many branches. We get First Contact from it. We get most of Voyager from it.
That's true.
When we get Picard, eventually, with the X-Borgs.
Well, and Maddox. And
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
21 years later, we're still dealing with the ramifications of this episode on Picard, right? The whole series of Picard was about sentient machines.
Yeah. And Bruce Maddox's
series
work.
was about that. And Maddox's work.
Yeah.
And
it's important.
It's crazy.
Yep.
And we're still talking about it, 30-something years later?
It aired originally on the 13th of February, 1989.
Oh, the same month that we're discussing it. How great.
So yeah, I think Measure of a Man has a lot going for it.
Yes.
And I said to Amy before we started recording that I watched this just this morning, and the last scene made me tear up. I don't know, it just hit me. And I've watched Measure of a Man I don't know how many dozens of times, and the scene where Riker is saying, I really shouldn't go to the party, I was working against you, when Data forgives him, oh my gosh, it just hit me right in the feels this morning, and the waterworks started, and it was powerful acting from both Freaks and Spiner. It was amazingly well written, and it was just, if that didn't prove that Data was alive, I don't know what would, because he was more human there than lots of people could be.
There's a really good wee acting moment from Frakes as well when he first starts. He's just been assigned to be the prosecutor, and he goes to the wee research lab and calls up all the Data schematics, and he's scanning through them, and he finds the off switch, and he's like, yes, that's going to win me the case. But then he realises that by winning the case, he damns his friend. And his face goes from elation to kind of just being down. I like that wee moment.
I feel like we could all learn from Data in this episode, because even though Maddox was against him and Riker was against him, he held no grudges. And even at the end of the trial, he went to Maddox and says, I think you're doing some really interesting work here, and I would love to continue to work with you. I just don't want you to disassemble me. I get that. But, let's stay in communications. That takes a bigger person than
absolutely
I am to do something like that.
I've said it in a podcast a couple of times, I think, that Data is the most human out of all of them. Because he goes through that experience and he exemplifies what it means to be a good member of the human race.
Yeah. Well, and that's his purpose on the show, is to teach us about humanity, because that's what he's learning. And so we learn through him.
Yeah.
And like the Spock character on TOS.
It always comes up like somebody that's never heard of Star Trek before. Like his kids in school will say, oh, Star Wars is better. And my question to them is, how much Star Trek have they watched? And they were like, none. I was like, well, how can you comment? You've never even heard of Star Trek, so you don't necessarily know. But what is Star Trek? Why is it so important to us? And it's like, it teaches us about the human condition. I don't think those are even my words. I think those are Gene Roddenberry's purpose. How can humanity be portrayed in a really positive way, and how can we go forward into the future with hope and aspire to greatness? So...
Well, that's Measure of a Man, aspiring us to greatness. How about Lonely Among Us? How does that inspire? So let's, Joe, do you have any way that you can summarize The Lonely Among Us?
Well, can I do it in one sentence?
Can you?
Wesley Crusher's most amazing and hideous oversized jumper.
That is true. There is the giant orange sweater in this episode.
Ewan described it as a poncho. I looked at it. I think I paused it just to look at the jumper because I was like, I really, really want one. But the sleeves. Now there's a point. It's almost, you know how when you wear a t-shirt, your sleeve should start where your shoulder ends and your arm starts. However, his sleeve starts like at his elbow. And then it's
more like a snuggie.
But that was the style. It totally takes me back, because I had the things and it was the new wave style, and you described it exactly right. And the shoulder, the seam would be like halfway down your arm, and that was the style. I had like 3 shirts, and they were like knockoffs, but because I was poor, but That was totally the style. And the oversizedness, that was just the 80s. So
I was maybe
flashback.
slightly too young. I kind of missed it by a couple of years. So it was like the jumper MC Hammer would have worn if he didn't have those baggy pants. And it's orange. Is it orange or is it like kind of terracotta orange?
Yeah.
It's a burnt orange
it's a
type
weird
of
color. Yeah.
And it's kind of looks knitted, but in like your nana maybe tore up all her knitting patterns and then randomly collected bits of them to knit together a jumper that was made of lots of different patterns. It's just the weirdest.
And it was so thick and you're gross looking.
I love it. I think I'm going to make scants that look like that jumper.
Oh my gosh.
So that is The Lonely Among Us. And I reckon it wins
I
the tournament.
really think
Why don't
you
I say a
need-
little more?
Yes.
I'll say a little more about that.
Because this episode is so forgetful.
No, it's not.
Oh, you've got.
It's not.
There's really a lot that goes on in this episode. There are a lot of concepts in this episode. Almost too many concepts
Yes.
in this
Yeah,
episode.
so Ewan looked out the Star Trek Fact Files, which was like a monthly magazine that you got that you tore apart and you separated it into the binders, and there was an episode guide section. So this is the episode guide for The Lonely Among Us. The Antikins and the Selly are enemies, but both have applied for admission to the Federation. The USS Enterprise NCC-1701D is to deliver delegates from both worlds to the conference planet Parliament, where it is hoped that their dispute can be resolved. So it's basically this mission they've got. Pick up some politicians and deliver them to another planet. Amy, you look confused.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, that's sort of the B plot, in my opinion.
That's the beginning of it, but en route to
Okay.
Parliament, which is said very strangely, Parliament.
Parliament, but whatever.
But no, Captain Picard says Parliament. Parliament.
That's
because it's season 1 and
That's
he
'cause he's
doesn't know
French.
his accent.
Well,
yeah.
he's French.
He's
We'll
English.
Parliament.
Parliament. But we originated the language, excuse me. And so en route to Parliament, they encountered this cloud, this big nebula in space, and they go to take some scans. But when they're doing that, Worf is in the sensor control room and he gets zapped by some energy, and then it turns out the energy is jumping from crew member to crew member. It kills the chief engineer, Engineer Singh. Is he the chief engineer? He's just an engineer.
No, because they do mention Chief Engineer Argyle.
Oh, he's Argyle.
There was a staff meeting with a lot of people that we'd never seen before, and Picard asked Singh if he'd talked to Chief Engineer Argyle, who for some reason couldn't come to this meeting.
Okay,
himself.
that makes sense. Given that they do like 3 duty shifts, there's going to have to be like a chief engineer on duty at all times, isn't there? So just to have Geordie, wake Geordie up in the middle of the night for any little thing that goes wrong.
Well, Geordie wasn't an engineer at this point.
Right.
He was still
He's
flying.
still on the bridge.
Yeah, you don't want to wake your chief engineer up for the stupidest little thing that goes wrong with engines, is my point.
Yeah, why would you do that? Crazy.
I know. So it turns out the Enterprise, as it flies by the cloud, it clips the cloud and collects some energy from it, and that energy is a sentient life form, and it jumps around the crew and in the ship until it gets to Captain Picard, who has the power to take them back to the cloud. And then Captain Picard decides it's a good idea to join the cloud, so he beams himself into the cloud as energy. And they've lost Captain Picard until he sends the letter P through to the navigation console, and they realise, oh, P for Picard, not P for pizza, and the computer's just hungry.
Or Parliament.
True, get us there now. Yeah, so they send it back and they get to Parliament. Meanwhile, the Antikins and the Selly are hunting each other around the ship, trying to eat one another as food. One's kind of reptilian species, the other one's kind of almost feline looking. And one of the Antikins is played by Mark Alemo, if memory serves.
Yes,
who plays
that is correct.
Golda Cat. So yeah, that is Lonely Among Us.
So outside of Mark Alimo, were there other significant guest stars in this, Kevin?
Not that I can find.
Because I looked at that and I was like, I don't really know any of these people. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't believe there were. This was a very early episode. This was episode 7, 6, depending on who you talk to. Mm-hmm. Memory Alpha says 7. So this was the first episode that took place completely on the ship. That didn't have any locations. This was the first time we saw the dress uniforms. This was the first time we saw that weird head thing that Beverly wore when she was doing medical scans. Right. That was bizarre. This weird sort of made her look half bald, and that's a dumb thing. There was a lot of firsts in this episode.
There was. I have a couple more to add. This is the first time that we have a crewman end up dead. So our first death on the Enterprise. Mm-hmm. The first appearance of the pad created by Rick Sternbach. And the first appearance of Data as Sherlock Holmes with his pipe. So that's a big one. Is a big one for canon. And it was... the Data used a contraction for the first time. It said it's instead of it is.
Oh. I like the fact they've got an original series shuttlecraft. And it's sitting in somebody's quarters when they're talking about how to get rid of Picard. I like that. We nod to TOS. There was some...
can I do another nod to TOS?
Yeah.
Since you're talking about it. Similar to what Alex Ortega says with the TOS connection, DC Fontana wrote the part of bringing the delegates to Parliament, which is inspired by the TOS Journey to Babel, which she also wrote as well. So if it looks familiar, when I watch this, I really get that TOS feel, and this is probably why.
Yeah. It did have that sort of feel. Right down to the bit at the very end where they played something as a joke with the jangly ha 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 music, but it was Tasha just reporting that one of the Cele delegates had been killed and eaten by the Antikins.
That's not
Isn't that funny? The chef was just asked to cook this reptile person. Ha ha ha!
You guys have a chef?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, why is there a chef on the Enterprise? Is this the only time we've mentioned the chef on the Enterprise?
Maybe it's a bit like Elle Woods. Yeah. And Legally Blonde, where she's got like a 4.0 in her LSATs in fashion merchandising or something from college, and she gets into Harvard to study law. Maybe the chef had like a... He wasn't a scientist, he wasn't an engineer, he wasn't a diplomat. He liked to cook, and that was his way into Starfleet. Maybe he specialised in replicator programming or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, they had a chef on the NX-01, so maybe it's just left over from that. Yeah.
They had a chef in the Undiscovered Country.
Well, and they had to have, I guess not in
got a big
TOS,
pot
because what's her name is carrying around trays of food all the time.
Who?
Rand.
Oh, for Spock.
In Charlie X.
Yeah, for Spock, because she loves Spock. Yeah. But you get those...
Didn't McCoy prescribes salads a lot, too. You should just have a salad.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with salad.
But,
can I make comment on this episode's score? Kind of jumped out at me because it's very mysterious. It kind of keeps it's in keeping with the theme of the episode, this mystery that's to be solved. What is this energy that's going around the Enterprise? Why is everybody behaving strangely? And let's go back and focus on the score. It's quite mystical. Not mystical. Mysterious.
Mysterious?
Yeah. I like it. And it was written by Ron Jones.
Yes. Good Ron Jones, yeah. I thought this was a very fun mystery, and we were talking before, right, Kevin, of how many times have we had character get taken over by a higher power or, an alien? And would this be the first time that it's happened?
I think it might be.
On TNG. But when that life form from the Beta Renner cloud, starts traveling and experimenting and learning. I thought that was really cool. Like, Data's like, what are you doing over here, Worf? Why are you doing? Well, the captain wants us to learn.
Oh, it's so corny.
And then Crusher's talking to Wesley. Why do you care about this? You've never cared about propulsion and my projects and stuff. And so I liked the idea that there's going to be alien life forms out there, and it's not always going to be bad. It may seem bad, but I mean, this alien's just trying to learn and trying to get back home. And this is one of the things I love about TNG is that it's not always disastrous. We're not going to assume the worst. Like, that to me builds why I think TNG is this utopia, because we're not always assuming the worst. We're going to give the benefit of the doubt. And we see that in the storytelling. And this is one example.
That learn line of Worf's is just super corny, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like straight out of 80s TV.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is very 80s, this episode. It's got some decent performances in it. The makeups are more like masks than they are makeups. So both the Antikins and the Cele don't have a lot of movement in their face. You can't see what words they're saying. Their dog mouths just open and close.
Did you know that broke Gene Roddenberry's rule?
Yeah,
to have a full mask, and they did both alien races a full mask. So Michael Westmore was going out on a limb there.
But that wasn't his design, from what I've read.
Right, but he executed it.
As a season 1 episode goes, it's not bad. But
and I am going to say they actually used Troy well, because her telepathic powers were on point. Like, they would have left Picard in the cloud, but it was her that sensed him, right? And she was like, came up with the idea of hypnosis to try and figure out why everyone was having memory losses. That really could have been a Beverly thing, but because I think Beverly was it had happened to her, that we needed Troy to be that person to try and figure it out between Worf and Crusher, and like they lost their memory, and so Troy tried hypnosis, again another therapy, and it seemed to fit her very well in this episode.
Interesting use of hypnosis, because I don't think I'm a fan of hypnosis. It seems like one of these pseudoscience things that
it just works better in the 24th century.
Maybe you look at the wee spinny light and you become hypnotized. The funniest bit about this episode, apart from Wesley's jumper, is at the end where they're on the bridge and Picard electrocutes them all, and they're all like, "I'm getting electrocuted."
That was pretty corny.
I'm blind.
Yes. Troy has the line, "It's blinding me."
Oh, I know.
You're standing beside Geordi. You shouldn't say that.
Kevin.
Well, you shouldn't.
That's funny.
But they all just get electrocuted, then they're all fine. So it's a bit far-fetched. So if we get electrocuted, we'd be dead.
Well, maybe it was
exactly.
Or was it not electricity? Was it not?
Because it was the same force that inhabited Worf, right?
Okay, so it was energy.
It was nebula energy.
Energy bolts made of life particles. Okay, I get you now. We'll move on to talk about canon.
All right, canon.
Because it's not important in the slightest.
Well, Sherlock Holmes, I think, is the biggest canon influence, because we do get quite a few.
There's at least 2 more major Sherlock Holmes episodes, right?
It's the first time we see an Antikin as well.
Do we ever see him again?
See the Antikins or the Stellae again?
We see, interestingly, we see an Antikin in Measure of a Man.
We did.
Seeing the bar scene on the space station, where Picard sees Lavoie for the first time, there's an Antikin in the background.
Shut up.
Yes.
That's cool.
Ewan noticed it
Well,
earlier.
then we give that point to Lonely Among Us.
I'm trying to think of other things. O'Brien. This was only the second appearance of O'Brien. He was in this episode.
But he wasn't named yet?
No, but he had switched from red to yellow. He wore red in the pilot, and he wore gold in this episode. It was the first time we saw the dress uniforms, so those come back.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah.
But as to like being a leaping off point for future stories, not so much.
No. And again, this is one of those episodes that I get so mixed up with season 1. There's a handful that's like Lonely Among Us. I don't know what that's about. There's a bunch of them that I just don't, where No Man Has Gone Before and Lonely Among Us, like they all get bungled together. So it's not that memorable, even though I've enjoyed it and I love talking about it. And there's definitely things to discuss and themes and stuff. But as far as, canon and me remembering it, I don't.
Well, is that enough to let us move on to the voting portion of the festivities today?
Yes.
I think it is. So who would like to... Do you want to hear the poll results before we go and do our vote?
I think so, because you've teased our listeners at the top, and so I think we need to know what...
As of the time I made my notes on the episode, which was just last night, the vote was 15-2 in favor of Measure of a Man. That is what our listeners thought. And
wow, we had 2 votes for Lonely Among Us. I mean, we know Justin. Interesting.
Justin was one. I can look up who the other one was.
No, that's okay.
But at the moment, there were 2 votes for Lonely Among Us.
I like Lonely Among Us. I really do like it.
You do?
I really enjoy it.
You do like it?
But this isn't about like.
Which episode are we voting for to move forward in the tournament?
So I will say my piece. I'm definitely going with Measure of Man. I think the importance to canon way outweighs anything else. Even though we do get Data as Sherlock Holmes, the very first, and that is, I think, very significant. I think that is the first time where we're going to introduce hobbies into Star Trek canon. So as far as continuity goes, I think that's probably the most important that we get from Lonely Among Us. And we get Mark Alaimo, which is, he's fabulous. Love that he's starting with us here in TNG. But my vote definitely is Measure of a Man.
I would like to give 1 million votes to Wesley's jumper in The Lonely Among Us. It's just such a fun episode. And the music really jumped out at me. So I really loved the music. And like you said, Amy, the fact that Mark Alaimo's in it. It's just there's so many aspects to it. And I quite like the fact, I know you guys complained about it earlier, there's too much in it. I kind of like the fact that it was a full-on episode and you really had to pay attention. Having said that, it's really no competition. The measure. What are we calling it? Is it The Measure of a Man or Measure of a Man?
It is called The Measure of a Man.
Yeah, okay, because I think we're lazy, aren't we, in the way we talk? Well, I am, at least. So, The Measure of a Man is by far the more superior episode. It's just so important to us as Star Trek fans. It has to be that I vote for.
Yeah, well, I kind of assumed it was going to come down this way, so I have no problems voting for The Measure of a Man. Just, stellar acting performances from Stewart and Spiner and Frakes and the actress who plays Philippa Louvois and Bruce Maddox, all like stellar performances all along. Plus a nice Guinan moment and talking
about slavery. Yeah.
And The Measure of a Man just is everything you want a Star Trek The Next Generation episode to be. It's fun, but with a message, and it's just an all-round classic episode of this show. So I think unanimously we got to give it to The Measure of a Man.
We do, don't we?
Agreed.
So
it was a David and Goliath situation there, wasn't it?
It kind of was. And sometimes that happens. So it's going into the records right now. The Measure of a Man versus Only Among Us is a 3-0 win for Measure of a Man. So Measure of a Man will be going up against, in the next round, when we eventually get there someday, Galaxy's Child will be the episode that it goes against. Okay. Our next Batleth battle, which will happen in several weeks, is the episode In Theory versus Remember Me. So In Theory is season 4, episode 25, and Remember Me is season 4, episode 5. I already have a favorite in that one, but
I don't, because 2 season 4s. So I think I am so excited because I don't know what I'm going to choose. I can see both winning in my book. So
really. Interesting.
Yeah, same. The only thing that annoys me about In Theory, that is the one where Data's experimenting with having a relationship with Jenna Desora.
His dating program.
Yeah, and then we get a scary Data when his program decides to have an argument with her, and he's all lore-like. So that's the only thing I don't like about that episode. But what I like about both of them is the science behind them. Even though it's all wackadoodle, it's science-based episodes. So, yeah, tough call.
It will be fun.
Incoming transmission.
So we would love to hear your thoughts on today's show, and we hope you will join the Facebook group, the Federation Council Chambers. You are welcome to start conversations with us or add any general Star Trek info you want to share with the group.
If you'd like to send us an email, you can email the network at contact@ufp.earth, and we might read your email on the show.
Please hit the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a star rating and written review that helps others to find the show. You can also follow the entire network's podcasts with our master feed by searching United Federation of Podcasts. This way you won't miss any of our fine shows like All Good Things, Franchise Fatigue, Always Hold On to Arrow, General Quarters, Mickey's Marvels, Infinite Diversity, or TrekPod. So Amy, where can people find you when you're cooking up a delicious lizard dish?
Well, you can find me right here on the network because I love eating lizard and alligator, which I tried for the first time when I lived in Houston, just so you know, and frog legs when I went to New Orleans. So yeah, I'm all about it. But you can find me here on the network where I host All Good Things with my good friend Pat Devlin, and we talk about all of Star Trek. I am also over on Union Federation podcast where we talk about the Orville and new Star Trek coming out. You can find me on Twitter at Miss Amy Nelson, and of course in our Federation Council chambers. And Kevin, where can people find you when you are eating a large meal and an interesting animal?
I love to eat interesting animals. So if I'm not stuffing my face, you can find me doing a couple of other podcasts, True North Nerds, which I do with some very good nerd friends of mine here locally, and Stage Whispers, the show about local theater, community, and professional here in Central Ontario. And I hang out in the Federation Council Chambers, and you can find me on Twitter at True North Nerds, so I'm all over the place. So Joe, where can people find you when you have to make cutting arguments against your best friends?
Hopefully not cutting off their arms at the same time.
It was gruesome, wasn't it? Not gruesome, but yeah, it was devastating argument. Tough to watch. Poor Data. When I'm not doing that, though, you can tweet me on the Twitter at JoeyJoe77UK. You can email me, joepodcasts@gmail.com, if that email address hasn't been shut down for lack of use. And you can also get me on the Federation Council Chambers. Please email me. It's a cry for help.
Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
If you'd like to help us keep all our shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/UFPearth. That's patreon.com/UFPearth to get all the details.
We'd like to recognize our executive producers, Brandon Shea-Mutella, Ken Tripp, Zach Moore, and Tony Robinson. We'd also like to thank Zach Tripp for our opening and closing music, and Tony Robinson for our amazing artwork.
Thank you for beaming aboard the Galaxy class, and until next time...
Data, let's proceed without the pipe.
Great joy and gratitude.
I formally refuse to undergo your procedure.
Engage.
This has been a production of MTMR Media Works.